I'd love it that much because it was hyped up so much that I was like expecting to not.
I think he's recording.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Wareham School Committee. Today is Thursday, September 3rd, 2020. If we could just rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast by WCTV, and also an audio recording is being made by Jamie Wixton. We're a small group tonight. Unfortunately, Mike Flaherty and Mary Morgan are unable to join us, so we'll just be the three of us tonight. The first item on the agenda is public participation. Is there anyone who would like to address the committee? Seeing no one, we'll move on to good news.
Yes, I would like Christine Sucko to please come forward. Sure.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Do you mind shutting that off? I think that might help.
You can sit down.
That might be better.
I am pleased to introduce Christine Sucko, who is our new interim business manager. She comes to us from Whitman Hanson. We're thrilled to have her, and so you have her resume. If she could share a few pieces of about her professional life, that would be great, and then I'm sure she would answer any questions which you may have.
Sure. Hi.
Hi, I'm Christine. My career started in Pembroke when they were part of the Silver Lake Regional School, and my kids were in the school, and there was a confidential bookkeeper position. Took the position, and then as they brought on the secondary school, became the accounting manager, then the assistant business manager. Spent just about 8 years there, and I went back to school and I got my business manager's license through DESE, and then I went down to Harwich Public Schools. Harwich Public Schools, then I was part of forming the region there, so I was there for 2 years. So the first year I was actually the business manager and the facilities director, both together because they had cut that position. Very small district. And then they regionalized with Chatham, which I was there for the inception of that and what they call the non-operational year. Then Whitman Hanson became available, and that was a little bit closer to my home, and my kids were in high school, so I didn't want to miss any of their events. They were very active in school. And then that brings me here to Wareham today.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. Does anyone have any questions?
No, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm really happy to be here. I'm looking forward to being part of this community, and the first week's been fantastic. So if that says anything, it does to me. So I'm really happy to be here and look forward to being part of the Wareham community.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing much more of you.
Yeah, anytime.
All right.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Does anyone else have any good news they'd like to share? So I just wanted to mention, and I didn't mention this last time because I wanted to wait for Scott to be here, but I wanted to say thank you to Scott Palladino and to Dr. Shaverhood and Dr. Schwam and everyone else who made graduation possible. What you gave to those kids and those families was really something, and I know that they're all very thankful. And I know there were a lot of other people behind the scenes who helped make it happen, so, thank you to everyone who had something to do with that. But I sat there that day. The speeches by the valedictorian and the salutatorian I thought were excellent speeches. And so I actually reached out to the valedictorian and I asked her if I could quote her here at our meeting. So if you'll indulge me, I would just like to read some from her speech. She said, "It's impossible to name just one aspect of our school's community that makes us the accepting and supportive group that we are. Every single one of us has had the honor of experiencing this sense of community firsthand, and we've all played an active role in the forwarding of those values that it entails. So when people ask us where we grew up or where we came from, we should be proud to say a community where everyone is treated equally. We should be proud to say a town where its residents support one another no matter what. We should be proud to say a school where no one is judged by where they came from or how much money they have or for the color of their skin. We should be proud to say Wareham, because while it may have been our circumstances that made us a community, it was our attitudes that made us a family. So I encourage all of us, if there is one thing we take with us from our time here at Wareham into our futures, let it be that sense of welcoming acceptance and support that has played such a vital role in each one of our lives. So I just thought those were such wise words from Grace Serrato, who was the valedictorian. And then as I was reading it, getting ready for the meeting, I thought it's even more meaningful now as so many people are working so hard, nonstop, to bring the kids back to school in a safe way. And it just, I was just really impressed by her words, and I wanted to share them with everyone. So again, thank you for graduation. And if there's no other good news, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of some meetings. We'll start with July 2nd. This is the meeting that at our last meeting, Mr. Flaherty had asked that some changes be made to the minutes, and those changes were made. The words roll call were added into the minutes. So if there aren't any questions on these minutes, I'll just ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300. We'll move on to the minutes of the meeting. It was a workshop meeting on July 22nd. Are there any questions on those minutes?
Motion to accept.
Okay, is there a second?
I second, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 300. Next one is July 29th, another workshop meeting.
Motion to accept.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 300. The next set of minutes we're going to bring up at the next meeting for August 6th, so that'll be on our next agenda. So next on our agenda tonight is the Wareham Public Schools Uninterrupted.
So hello again, everyone.
Hello?
That set of lights.
Probably. They're right in my hand and I can't, right? But I choose to struggle instead for some reason. Why, I don't know. Okay, so in June, we began to look at how we weathered the COVID storm academically in the virtual world. We know that Wareham was in good shape to provide virtual instruction compared to other districts. Due to the superintendent and her leadership team's vision and help from so many other faculty and staff, we have enhanced our opportunities. We had already supplied one-to-one Chromebooks to grades 2 through 12, significantly increased our infrastructure, and had professional development opportunities through in-house, online, and conferences. Due to this steadfast vision, when the schools closed, we were in a strong position to support students as they continued to learn. We also know we can improve. Through a lot of feedback collected by stakeholders, we realized that we needed a consistent, readily accessible education system to reach all in our school community. The Cape Cod Collaborative had put together a cohort and introduced us to Modern Teacher. Modern Teacher is essentially a professional development platform. Joining this cohort saved us a significant amount of money, and 17 of our staff members, mostly in the leadership team, attended professional development this summer. When staff returned for their professional development, we had plans in place to build a website for educational purposes that is consistent from school to school, readily accessible, and transparent. Staff have been engaged in this work for the last week and have begun to build landing pages, playlists, learning plans, and examine the best way to deliver synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities for students. Modern Teacher also provided the templates for our website. I, too, am learning, and I am eternally grateful to all of those in our schools helping. What we are undertaking is not a job that can be done successfully without the assistance of many. So, we have been very busy, and I've never built a website before. We have our website, the Wareham's website, but this is going to be a link on the website where parents can go and hook into the education and get right to their schools and know what needs to happen. Students, families, caregivers, daycares, anyone will have access to actually see what's going on and help our students along the way as they're moving through. The work has been intense. I think people have had fun as well building these pages. It's been interesting building this website. I've learned a great deal, and I continue to learn as we go. It's a little clunky at the moment because we're still adding. So in other words, people are still engaged, and things are in edited versions, so to speak, but they're beginning. And I'd like to show you just a couple of examples so you can see at least where we're heading, right, overall, before we actually have it go public. We want to make sure that everything is in its right spot. But as you can see, I thought a lot about the name. I didn't want to call it remote because it might not be at some point. I didn't want to call it hybrid because it might or may or may not be in person. It sort of is an all-inclusive tool that we can use wherever we are to help kids learn. So we are essentially saying that we are going to do school regardless of the circumstances, and we are not going to interrupt that process no matter what. So I will give you some examples, but please be patient with me.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
So this is not a live website. This is something that you're in process.
It's
what
not
we're looking
public.
at right now. Okay.
Correct. So the link is not available in the public because we're not ready.
Okay.
So as you can see, we have the drop-down menu. We've made landing pages for all of us. Assistant superintendent, director of student services, out-of-district coordinator, interim business manager. We have drop-down menus for our schools. We have a section on discussing racism at home and some different tools that people can use if they would like, or if those questions are asked at home, ways that they can do that. It's pretty fascinating, some great videos. Laura Pohl actually put together a really cool page with all kinds of information. And then we have family resources. There so far on the family resources, just as an example, we have technology, so the Caregiver's Guide to Remote Learning. Even though he doesn't want credit, Angela Dunham's son out of California created this last year, this Welcome to Distance Learning as a Google for Schools parent out of frustration to try to help families. And then she got a hold of it, shared it with me, and it's actually really it's got some humor in it, and it's quite family friendly if you're trying to navigate Google. We have how to use Google Classroom for students over here, and a parent's guide to Google Classroom. And we will continue to just add things as we go that we think might be helpful to families. And we have some COVID safety tips. We have something from the governor's office that explains how to stay safe at home. And then we have another teacher who put together for younger kids how to wash your hands, how to dress, what to wear, what kind of snacks to pack, things for the littler kids. Mm-hmm. And they're all connected to YouTube videos so families can actually look on to see how they can help their children be successful and stay safe at school.
Could you possibly add links to Power School, like parents that may have, issues with like learning Power School, or like any how-tos for navigating Power School in this area
I could see, yeah, I can ask about that. That's not a problem.
for people who have like login issues or, you know what I mean, and any sort of links for that?
Sure. So that's a good idea. So I'll ask Robin about that. So yeah, we'll start to see sort of a roundabout how that's going to work. But as you begin to look at the schools, I'll just show you a couple of them. Wareham High School has their opening page, and as you can see, you click and you can see any of these departments that you would like. Now they're not all complete yet, but this is sort of the overriding elements of that. You go to the departments, for example, and you can click any of these, and they bring you to the different areas. So there's your foreign language, and the teacher's name is here. You click on your teacher's name, and there's her landing page. It gives her how to get a hold of her, what text to use, the different periods of the day, and the playlist, which will be linked here when she's completed with it. We're not there yet, but when she's completed with that, that will be linked here automatically, one-stop
So
shop.
by playlist, do you mean the like pre-recorded like lessons, or what is the playlist?
No, you'll have access to Google Classroom, which will be the classroom, but then the playlist is sort of the directions, like a recipe. Monday, this will get done. Tuesday, this will be done. Wednesday, we're going to look at this.
So like a syllabus?
Somewhat, yes, but more day-to-day. And then behind that would be the learning plan or the syllabus where you get the big picture. But this is sort of just your check-in, day-to-day. This is what we're focusing on today.
Like the teacher's plan book, basically.
Yes, pretty much.
And the format is standard across the grades? I mean, obviously the content will be different, but...
Correct. With the exception of some people have chosen to use Bitmojis as their landing page, and I'll show you an example of what that looks like.
They're really cute.
They're
I've seen a
adorable.
couple.
Oh, I know where there's one. Hold on. So if you go to math, and this is Mrs. Medina's page, and there's her Bitmoji, so that's her landing page. But it gives you the playlists, it gives you the different courses, it's a little bit about them, sort of trying to make some connections. And they're all different, but they're all similar in the information that's on that page.
And there's a dog on it.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I mean, she's got this mug over here too that's, it's got to say something about math, I'm sure. Oh, no, it says best teacher ever. So yeah, there you go. So there's a couple of examples at the high school. The middle school. Oops, sorry. So they have all of this is sort of their opening page where similar to what the department page looks like. This does by grade level. They've got their special education parts on the TLC, ASD, and Learning Center. And then it has different things that we're doing, from PBIS to the school nurse to the staff directory, which is so helpful. They've linked all of that, so all you have to do is click and you can email whoever it is that you would like to email, along with the learning pages. So that's really helpful. And they've set up, so they have welcome to the 5th grade. Click on the teacher's name and see their landing page. They've got very clear instructions. If you see down here, these are all of our online, this is what we're using online, and there'll be direct links to each of those areas as you move through. This is Welch's landing page. And she's got it, just daily announcements. This is who I am, and this is where we're going. Some of them are more in this. And there's the link to her Google Classroom. Everybody will have that on their landing page. They can go right there. There's help for any kind of technology help. It goes right to the ticket, so the person can actually fill it in right away.
This is all new this year. None of this existed last year. Is that true?
True. This demonstration, yes, it was not. This is all what we've learned.
Okay. I mean, the teachers didn't have these tools in the spring.
No.
This is new, yeah, okay.
And are all teachers using Google Classroom? Is that?
Yes.
Okay,
They're all using Google Classroom.
great.
So with the links on each teacher's homepage that brings them to their Google Classroom, is that bringing them to the live Google Classroom or just to see what they're doing? And is there like, because if this is going to be made public and any person on the planet can go in, or class lists or anything going to be in there, like how is that being protected on a privacy level if this link is going to be out in the public?
That's a good question, but I believe, and I can't explain it as well as the person because I asked the same question, but you have to be invited to Google Classroom to get into Google Classroom. You have to have an email that's
So the people that click on it, like going in on the...
They can't get in.
Okay, that's more what I'm asking. Like
yeah,
they're-
you have to be invited to the classroom in order to access the classroom. Like I can't get into anybody's classroom unless I become a student in that class.
I just,
Yeah.
feel like that's something that should be asked publicly so that
Exactly.
the parents and the public know that our children are being kept safe online during online learning.
And I asked the same thing, so I'm glad you asked.
Thank you.
And then there's the staff directory. Paraprofessionals have pages of themselves. They're adorable. They're just kind of introducing themselves. So it's nice, right? They're having some fun with that, and I think the kids will enjoy it as well.
Definitely.
But the whole point is to get to things right away.
Right.
Because what was happening, what we learned was that it was a different presentation depending upon which teacher you had, and it was tough to navigate when you didn't have a system to get to where you needed to go. And we do have a lot of things that are online available to kids to do, like Lexia and Edpuzzle and just the math program. All of our things are web-based, and so what was happening is, they might be asked to go there, but then they didn't remember how to get there, right? And so it kind of just, it was getting in the way of that forward progress, and then parents pulling their hair out of their head, like, how am I I can't get in, I don't know how to get in. And so we're trying to, as best as possible, just stop the madness and find a place where they can just go and be ready and have it available.
That's great.
Does the administration have landing pages too, like the principals, the guidance counselors, things like that?
Everyone.
Oh, that's great.
Special ed, all of the BCBAs, the OTs, the PTs, speech and language, all of us, we all have landing pages. Not that anybody really wants to see ours, but everybody, the school nurses, guidance, social workers, every single professional staff member in this district has been required to create a landing page.
So parents and families have easy access to anyone that they want to
Yep.
have access to.
Exactly. That's the goal. And the days have been provided for them and their modules, which is the Modern Teacher modules. They have to finish those modules, and they're about 2 hours of work and then 2 hours of creating the product after. And there are 3 modules they're focusing on. One is landing pages and setting up your space. The second is playlists and learning plans, which is they're engaged in that now. And the third is asynchronous and synchronous learning. And that is giving them strategies to balance out how to create engaging lessons asynchronously that then move into synchronous and back and forth, so that it isn't, we're concerned about too much screen time. We're concerned about a lot of things, right? So we're trying to look at best practices and how do we change it up a little bit and do some of the same things but do them differently. So it will be challenging, but I think it gives them an opportunity to learn through these modules. I certainly learned a lot through them, and hopefully we'll grow and we'll learn as we go. And like I said, we're the ones that went to the professional development, we're a month ahead. That's it. So it's not even, we're all sort of like in it together. And I think the goal will be to just provide a product that will help everyone feel comfortable with where we are right now.
And I think the plan is very sound, and I love the fact that it's uniform and easy for parents. Eventually, how do we monitor the quality control, or how do building administrators or you in your role monitor what's happening online? Is that
From the kids, or?
from an observation point of view?
Well, we have a plan for that as well.
Okay.
So, which is sort of a different conversation, but I have an evaluation subcommittee, and we've looked at because of the evaluation tool is for different kind of education than what we're doing, we found some crosswalking to be able to determine what it means to reach students in those different indicators. When you're doing it either hybrid or remotely. And so we're actually putting those into the observation process and requiring every evaluator to be invited to every classroom, and they'll be doing walkthroughs through those classrooms, just like we do them now. And so we're just trying to look at what we have. We don't want to change it up too much because that took 5 years to create the evaluation, as you know, right? The evaluation process is this long, involved, you know. We don't want to go crazy, but we definitely want it to be relevant and meaningful so that we can help coach people. And it's in that spirit that we are moving forward, right? So we're simultaneously working on that element as well.
So has this been embraced by staff? Are they excited about it?
I think there's it's interesting because what I noticed after the day of landing pages was that 2 people that I happen to be friends with, who are also educators here on Facebook, posted their landing pages on Facebook. Look at what I created today. It took me all day, but look. And so there's some, I think, that made me feel a little bit like they had some pride in their work. And the level of creativity and thought you can see as everything they're choosing to do, it seems pretty incredible to me. So I'm not sure that they would tell you that. I mean, they may say, oh, I can't believe we have to, do this, but I think overall they should feel extremely proud of the fact that they're really embracing it and doing the work. Everyone is participating.
Are some being used as models for other teachers to see? Are people
They're
offering them up to?
All sharing.
Okay.
Everybody's helping each other. If they don't know how to get to that or do this, or, I mean, the amount of collaboration has been phenomenal. So it's not even I mean, I'm sure it will be a little bit competitive at some point, depending upon who you're speaking to, because by nature, I think we do that. But overall, there's a great sentiment of let's help each other out and let's figure this out.
I've seen a few of my teacher friends have posted theirs as well, and you can see that this is my virtual classroom, like, what do you think? And they're also looking for input from some of their friends, which I think is, well, what would help you, or things like that. So I think it does seem like, at least, I mean, this is sort of like the fun part, you're giving it their personalities, which I think is definitely great to help kids connect virtually when they're not going to be initially face to face.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing Mr. Palladino's emoji down the road.
I don't know if he has an emoji. This is his page. I'm going to give him up right now. It's pretty, it's pretty Scott Palladino.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
Exactly. So I know that I can show you one that's more Bethany Chandler. You can definitely tell the different
Grade levels.
Well, yeah, and then it's just funny to see the different personalities. It takes a second. I don't know why it does that, but. So there's Mrs. Chandler and Miss Russo
That's funny.
in their offices. So they created, this is their landing page. And the middle school has one that's kind of funny too. They're just fun, right? They're
Yeah.
fun and interesting, so they're doing things like this, but it's nice. I appreciate the creativity, particularly at this time of where we are right now. It's an impossible situation. It's really, really incredibly impossible. So I'm hopeful that they're at least having some fun in the spirit of it all. To do
I
some
love
nice
that they have the
things.
mural behind that, the mural from the
that great?
school. Yeah, just to remind the kids,
Yeah.
remember the school?
So I see you have like, music, drama, physics, and that just makes me think of, so I know for like the specials, they'll have their links there, but for those, like say at the middle school or the high school that have extracurriculars that may be, doing things online, are there going to be links for those particular
Yep.
programs
I'll show
or
you.
clubs?
I have a really good example of one right now that will help you see it. It's very well done. Oh shoot. No, where was it? So there's a Unified Arts.
But this is like the in-class unified arts. I meant like the post, like the extracurricular, like the after an activity.
We're not there yet.
Okay, I wasn't sure if,
Maybe.
like, if those would have that kind of accessibility or links to, kind of their meetings or their organizations or Zoom things that they might want to do, if that's how some of the extracurriculars are going to have to kind of start off.
So here's Mr. Berjoli's landing page, right? So he also has a playlist going. So he's already started on his playlist. So this gives sort of the goals and then what the assignments are. That's what the playlist looks like. So you see when there's school, when there isn't school. Then you see what he's going to ask to do for a first assignment. Actually, it's Mrs. Starmer. It's the two of them together. And then what they're doing Thursday, what they're doing Friday. But that's the playlist, and that's how I think will be helpful. Another really cool activity is Lisa Breeze shared with me, and it's not up here yet, but she's doing ELA Lava, and she's teaching kids through points how to get across the lava and collecting different pieces of furniture as they go every time they fulfill an expectation, like send me an email filling in the subject matter and your purpose for, like write it properly and showing them how to do that and then sending it. Make an appointment with me. Turn in an assignment on Google Classroom. Go and log into your Google Classroom. I mean, these are things that we just have to remind kids, particularly sixth grade and younger. How do we do that? And she's made this phenomenal virtual activity, and they get badges, and they're going to be champions and whatever, right? Points, and they're learning as they go, and they're fulfilling in the expectations at the same time. So they're being really, the level of creativity and I just think it's really awesome. It's very exciting to see.
I'm really looking forward to hearing more about it, or hearing from the teachers, once it's running, yeah.
It'll be nice to hear from them, yes.
Yes. Not that it isn't nice to hear it from you.
No. I would much prefer. Works well for me when we hear from them. So, any other questions?
No, thank
All right,
you.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love the name.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it is.
Thanks. I know.
It is. All right, next on the agenda is fall athletics.
So we thought we'd take you through a little timeline on what's occurred over the summer with the MIA and DESE in regards to fall sports. So the MIA COVID-19 Task Force met on August 27th to review and approve sports modifications for the fall 2020 season. The MIA Board of Directors, at their August 19th meeting, created the formal structure for the 2021 season, as well as an additional educational athletic recommendation provided by the task force. These recommendations were developed after months of meetings, discussions, research, and collaboration with Massachusetts governing entities. The MIA fall season was approved to officially begin September 18th. The following activities were approved by the Board of Directors for the Fall 1 season: soccer, fall gymnastics, cross-country, field hockey, girls volleyball, swim and dive, golf, and dance. From DESE and the MIA in a joint release, following their structural approval, individual MIA Sports Committee representatives established sports modification in alignment with guidelines from the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and the MIA. These modifications were vetted through the MIA Sports Medicine Committee. Districts that were designated in red based on the Department of Public Health metrics of average daily cases per 100,000 residents, and which therefore have this high school students learning remotely at the start of the season, must postpone their entire season. Districts designated as yellow, green, or unshaded, based on the same DPH metric, that nonetheless have their high school students learning remotely at the start of the season, may similarly delay their season to a floating season. If a yellow, green, or unshaded district that is only offering remote learning to its high school students wishes to participate in the regular scheduled sports season, this must be approved by the local school committee. So those are the mandates that we've seen. Recently, the South Coast Conference principals, superintendents got together, and I'm going to have Ed talk about that. That is probably the most recent release that we received. We received that yesterday, Ed?
We have that,
You all
yes.
have, okay.
Yeah.
So,
We got an email yesterday? Yeah.
do you have this? You want
It's
I
hot
have
off the
copies.
press.
I have other copies if you want one.
That's okay, I have it in my email. I can
Oh, okay.
pull it up.
So, the superintendents met, and there was an 8-2 in favor of postponing athletics. Since then, I've had meetings with athletic directors, and it's now 9 that are in favor of it, and 1 is on the borderline of doing it, but Rochester's the only one that hasn't convinced that they're not going to do it, but it's highly unlikely. So our conference is basically shut down until we've been meeting, and they've been making schedules for the winter and all that stuff, and that's what we've been doing lately. So that's the latest I would have on that. If you have questions about sports and all that, I'll gladly try the best I can to answer anything that I can with you, but that's the latest that we have. Yes.
So, well, as a parent of a fall athlete who is devastated, so all of the fall current sports that would have been in the fall that were designated originally, they would split the season to a floating season, correct?
Yeah, and I have the dates for that now. Our conference met yesterday to put our dates, which were a little bit better than the MIAA dates. The first session would be like normal. If you're winter sports, it's going to start the Monday after Thanksgiving, and it's going to end right around February vacation. There's only going to be 12 games, no lot of conference games. That's out.
No tournaments, too, right?
No tournaments, nothing. We might have a South Coast Conference tournament to help everybody, so they can have some type of atmosphere with that. Fall 2, they wanted it to be after February vacation, which we thought was insane. So we switched it to March 8th to May 9th. Now, it's a 9-week season, same type of atmosphere. It's football, volleyball, the 2 soccers, field hockey, and if we had cross-country. And then the spring season would actually go from May 10th to July 3rd. And actually, in many respects, that's good news for spring because the best weather is June and July. A lot of times they start in March and it's awful. So for them, it's pretty good. So our goal is for no out of league contests. We stay within ourselves, play somewhere between 10 to 12 games, and then we go from there. I mean, that's what's happening right now. Yes.
And so I did read, when I've been keeping up with the MIA, because my child asks every day what's going on with sports, so I've been, keeping up with them on my own. But it did say, and I don't know if you guys are following this, that out-of-season practices will be allowed at the discretion. So like they could do, say, workouts or gym time, like hypothetically.
If we're back in session, we'll figure that out, and if we have to come back, we'll come back. But if we're not in session, we're not coming into school to work out for athletics if we can't come to school for learning.
Understandable, but let's say once we're back in, like, once the kids are.
Once we're in hybrid, I think that would be very appropriate. Ed already kind of talked about a plan with me on certain days, certain teams would play, so it could be a unique opportunity for kids to engage in multiple sports where traditionally, maybe your son would only do football, but maybe football's Monday, Wednesday, and soccer's Tuesday and Thursday, and maybe he takes a chance at doing two sports in one season. So there would be opportunities, but, I think it's best that, we wait until we see if we can get back in early October, and if that's the case, if it's safe enough to return for education, then I think it's safe enough to return for this modified practice season.
That's what we would look at, and it'd be 2 days a week, more or less, with whatever sport that you're interested in. We open up to not just a soccer player, for example. If other kids wanted to try to join soccer, they could do that. And that would be our goal if like Mr. Palladino said, we do have some type of school.
And I think it could put us at an advantage to almost have a preseason to the seasons that Ed just described. And as a former spring coach, I do agree with that. I think the spring coaches probably have the best case scenario in this setup. The fall coaches are going to have to invest in some thermals. It's going to be a little cold out there, but you know what? But the awesome thing about this plan is that if it's safe enough to follow through with it, no one gets penalized and everyone gets a season. So it's fingers crossed. It all starts Monday after Thanksgiving. Fingers crossed for that.
We have schedules in place, all that stuff, and Mr. Palladino said about the couple of days a week. We want those, only the sports that would be in that season. For an example, we couldn't have basketball going during this right now. It would have to be, like you said, the sports, two soccers, field hockey, volleyball, or cross country if we do have that.
And that's a conference agreement as well, right, Ed?
Yes.
I was just going to ask that. So every school will handle it the same?
Yes and no. Yes, it looks that way. But I don't want to say...
The principals all agreed
Yes,
we'd handle it the same.
Like mutually agree that
right.
one is going to do it?
There'd be uniformity in the conference, so no one would have a distinct advantage and no one would be at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
That
that's
sounds like a plan that's not going to, I was worried about mixing cohorts of kids from other schools and other communities with our kids, so now this is a way around that. Hopefully still preserve seasons for kids going forward, and it seems like a unified plan. I applaud you guys for being part of that.
It's a plan, but, fingers crossed.
I know.
And it's, if we're...
I do feel bad for I'm thinking my own kids were in this age group.
Exactly.
It's tough. It's tough. I get it.
But I
But you're
think
not canceling the season?
No.
we're not.
Postponing it.
Postponing it, but, if we're back
If everything goes
in early October, I think it's going to allow for some normalcy for these kids. I think your son, for instance, without football, if there's an opportunity for us to have some practices when it's safe to be back in school in a hybrid fashion, now those kids are getting that preseason because it's going to be pretty quick as far as it's not going to be, I know there's rules as far as number of practices, but that switch is going to be flipped pretty quickly for them to go from training to, regular season because the window is so short. And the nice thing is the procedure is if it's rained out, it just gets canceled. It's not going to be, Ed's not going to be going nuts trying to fit 3 games in 3 days. And
Like the fall 2 would be 9 weeks, spring would be 8 weeks, and winter would be 12 weeks. Winter is 12 weeks because of the school vacations. And actually, spring might benefit greatly from this because usually June is not raining, certainly not like April, and May is a little bit better. So actually, spring might be a great thing because they're going to get to play baseball, for example, softball, in nice weather, in nice weather.
I think the start of a March season as opposed to the February is also
yeah.
going to be a little bit,
Yeah,
I mean, you end football in cold weather usually, it starts hot, ends cold, and, baseball, it's the opposite, but I think a little bit later, as long as they get to have a season, I just hope all the kids get to play.
That's our goal. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's our goal. I love athletics, and that's why I'm here, but, it's... Hasn't been easy, you know?
I think, you know, it's going to be great for the students because they all missed out in the spring season, and that was devastating. And at least to have hope that there'll be a fall season. There's a lot of kids that come to high school because we have athletics, and there's a lot of athletic programs that have straightened students out and gotten them to graduation, but also got them into college. And now they have a degree, and they're working off that degree. So there's a ton of benefit for the athletic programs in all high schools, but we see it obviously firsthand at Wareham High School.
And this certainly isn't the first conference to
No.
not have sports.
No, Mayflower League, they're out. The Northeast...
Shore, I believe, is out as
Northeast
well.
Conference is out. No, we're far from the only ones not doing this, believe me.
Okay. All right, so the way I understand it, then, there would not be a vote needed because you only needed a vote to approve sports.
Correct.
Is that true? So you don't need us to vote?
I don't believe we do it, right?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And please keep us updated, you know, as...
Yeah, I will, and then
Thank you.
hopefully when the kids get back to school, I'll organize a program for everybody.
Okay,
We'll be in a much better position when we're back in session.
right, right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a nice night.
Next on the agenda is acceptance of gifts.
Yes, I would ask the committee to accept AT&T Your Cause Giving Campaign in the amount of $4 for the Wareham High School.
Okay, is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 300. Next is the report of the superintendent.
I would ask that the committee approve the bill and warrants as listed in the superintendent's newsletter.
Okay,
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 300.
I would like to remind families that we are still delivering lunch and breakfast. The pickup spots are out, what we used in the summer, so I would encourage people to please go pick up the food. It will be extended throughout this year. We'll be able to continue the same type of program that we did in the summer, so that was expanded, and that's very good news for us. As well, information about class list will be forthcoming. I know our principals have been having meetings with parents, Zoom meetings, and so please stay tuned. That will be out very shortly. As well, we'll be releasing the transportation information. I would say between every run, the buses will be sanitized and disinfected, so we're going to have to ask for some people's patience because this is brand new to us and we just need to get the timing down as we go through this. So as we move along, we'll be making some adjustments. Certainly look forward to welcoming everyone back. This is the first week that we've had our teachers back and our paraprofessionals. They've been busy working with professional development, and it's been very nice to see activities. And we're looking forward to September 16th when we're able to welcome our teachers back into the buildings, and October 5th when we're tentatively scheduled to begin our hybrid program with our students. We're quite excited to welcome everyone back. And I can move on into the town meeting warrant if that's okay.
Could I just ask you a question about the food service? So I recently read something about the USDA changing some of the guidelines and rules regarding food distribution, so that won't have any effect?
No, they've gone back and forth with us, and the latest was that we can still distribute food as we did in the summer. So that's the plan that we're going on, and we'll proceed. Because of that, though, we only need to operate 2 kitchens, so we've made some adjustments there. And if and when we're able to have students back full times, then all 3 kitchens will be reopened.
So every student in Wareham will still qualify for free breakfast and free lunch?
Yes, yes. And we're working out some plans of how we'll be sending food home with students when we start the hybrid program. But until then, students are able to pick up their food at the locations.
Okay.
So tomorrow will be a big food day because we'll be sitting for the weekend plus Monday. So I would encourage families to go and pick up the meals.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, town meeting warrant article. Every year, this is an article that needs to be approved by the school committee. It will then be passed to the selectmen and requested to put in the town meeting warrant article. This is a yearly request. What we have to do is the committee needs to put this article in so we can receive the McKinney-Vento money that we receive for transportation of homeless students. In last fiscal year, we received $23,434. Right now, it's sitting in free in the town fund, and what we would like this to be transferred over to school transportation revolving account. And what we do with this money is if we have an opportunity to purchase vehicles, buses, vans, we do that with this money.
Do you know what the percentages of that is of the total amount? It's not the full amount that you...
Absolutely not.
No.
It gets slimmer and slimmer every year. I could get that for you, but I don't have it off the top of my head.
Are there any questions?
Is it slimmer because there's less students being transported, like a smaller percentage of homelessness, or is it more of a slimmer because the funding from McKinney-Vento is depleting?
Yes, I wish I could tell you that it was because we have less students to transport. That's not the case. It's because of the funding gets slimmer and slimmer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
In second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain, 300.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the discussion on the renaming of Columbus Day. This is on the agenda because I was contacted by a citizen, a parent, who wanted to talk about changing the name of that holiday. But unfortunately, I did not hear back from her. I'd asked her to supply some information and to come to the meeting tonight to discuss this with us. And I unfortunately did not hear back from her about that. So we won't be having that discussion tonight. Okay, so we'll move on to the report of the school committee, the school building committee update. I just thought it was important that we put this on the agenda. There's so much great news at the new school, so much happening up there. I shared with you the packet from the school building committee meeting this week. Hopefully you got a chance to look at that. Lots of great progress on the building. Lots of good news about the cost of the school.
I did see that.
So there's savings that will come from the fact that the bid for the building of the school came in much lower than they expected, and the interest rate that the town is borrowing the money at is much less. So those two combined will equal a significant amount of savings to the taxpayers in Wareham. Dr. Schwam, Dr. Shaverhood, do you want to add anything?
Well, it's the exciting times are about to begin because now we're starting to look at colors, look at flooring, making final decisions, and pretty soon we'll be looking at furniture. So we're starting to see the downhill slope of the final pieces coming together. If you haven't driven by that building, please do so. It is absolutely amazing, and every day there's more progress. So it's quite exciting. We feel extremely fortunate, And I think we're going to have to start the countdown pretty soon to the big move over.
I drive by it twice a day, and in the morning, seeing the difference between when I drive by it in the evening coming home, they really are working very, very diligently and very hard, and you can see all the progress pretty by eye. I know as a daughter of a contractor, sometimes it's not as obvious how fast things are coming along, but I think it's at the stage now where you can definitely, kind of see the progress, blind-eyed, and it looks great.
Yeah, and the community outreach group is really doing a good job of keeping the social media, the pictures updated, and, keeping a lot of really great information out there. So I encourage everyone, to take a look at that. And I know that they're working on some community events. It's just so hard to be able to do that right now. But they would like to plan some type of kid-friendly events. So that's something that they're working on. So we'll just continue to keep everybody updated on the progress. Do you have a question about that?
Yes, so the policy subcommittee needs to be formed and meet, and Mike Flaherty, who is the chair of the committee, he and I talked yesterday. The high school had initially requested to have more than one teacher on the policy committee, the subcommittee. They actually had 4 or 5 volunteers, which is rare, I think,
Great,
for
yeah.
policy. And while we appreciate and applaud the enthusiasm for that, and we would welcome extra teachers to come to the discussion and to the meetings. We would like to keep the voting members personally to one at the high school, one at the middle school, and one at the elementary, just for equity's sake on that. And so I just wanted to bring that to the whole committee's attention, and also to announce that we do need parents. We're looking for 6 parents, a parent of a special educated student, parents from each of the schools in the district, and if they are so inclined to serve on the subcommittee, to get in touch with the superintendent's office going forward, and we'll start meeting relatively soon.
Okay. Do you have that first meeting scheduled or no?
We do not have it scheduled yet.
Okay.
And we don't know if we're going to schedule remotely or Zoom yet.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay.
we'll talk to the group once that group is formed.
Okay. Okay. Do you know if the principals have reached out for parents?
I know the high school has. I don't know about the other ones yet, but I will be in contact with them. I'll reach out to the principals,
Okay.
asking them to make some recommendations.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you. Is there anything else under the report of the school committee? Nope. Is there any other business? Does anyone have any other business? I just wanted to mention, next week on September 10th, there is a public hearing that's going to be held in this room by the Wareham Planning Board. And what they're proposing is to make an amendment to some zoning laws. And what they want to do is amend the setback for cannabis testing to eliminate the state setback restriction for schools. So it's my understanding that right now there is a setback rule for 500 feet. So a cannabis testing facility cannot be within 500 feet of a school. And there is a proposal for that to occur at a facility near Deacon School. So I reached out actually to Ken Buckland, who's the town planner, and he forwarded my email to the vice president at that facility, that facility has been there for as long as I remember. They've been a good neighbor to Deacon School. But at this point, they want to lift that restriction. So I guess I would just encourage anyone who has a concern about that, because I do certainly have a concern about that. The last time I remember this coming up, it was when they were talking about a facility that was going to be near the old Tremont Nail. And of course, that had this Little People's College. And so that 500-foot setback is there for a reason. And so they're just quietly trying to remove that setback.
I just have a question. I don't know if
I can answer it, but I'll try.
I'm not sure, but I mean, given the fact that, is there a way that they can propose, or someone in the district could propose a caveat that if it is approved for whatever they're trying to do, it couldn't be until after Deacon's is no longer performing as a school? Because I mean, it is kind of, in that particular location, Deacon's is not going to be a school after the new school is built.
Well, we don't know what Deacon's will be, though. See, it's not going to be an elementary school, but we don't know what it's going to be. So, not as a school committee member, I just want to hear more about it, I guess.
Yeah, I would want to know more,
there-
because I live right next to it, like literally right next door, and I don't know enough about the cannabis testing to know if it is going to impact anything, or if it's, are they concerned about like emissions going into the air and, I don't know I'd have to know what the testing facility would do, and is that something that's being presented, do you know, at that meeting, or is it just looking to change the zoning?
They already had a public meeting for that facility and what their plan is. That's already happened. This is a public hearing because this article is going to be on the fall town meeting to lift this restriction. So then my next question, of course, would be, does that mean they could do that 500 feet from every school? So, yeah, is it just going to be a blanket lifting of the setback? So those are my questions. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to the attention of anyone who might be interested in that meeting, which again is next Thursday at 6 o'clock in this room. Okay. So then that just brings us to the end of the meeting, unless anyone has anything else. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.